Hello there. Last week someone asked me if I would show them how I made my penannular brooch, which is this one. Let me see if I can show it to you properly. I've showed it to you before. Disclaimer before we go any further, I made mine after watching Francesca Watson make hers. Mine is different, but nevertheless, credit where it's due. She's a fantastic lady, so I wouldn't like to pass even the idea off as my own. But I did sort of change it and make it my own in a way. Now, someone asked, as I say, someone asked me to show them how I made it. Now, what I'm going to do today, I'd like to make another one, but I'd like to make it smaller so that I can use it actually as a proper brooch. So that if I'm wearing a chunky jumper over the winter period, I can just stick it on the side and hopefully it'll look pretty. Now, the original one, this one, was made using 2mm wire twisted together, and that was made out of the spiky thing there. That was made out of 2mm wire too. The base for my stone was made out of 0.8 sheet, and so were the little triangles at the bottom. Now, what I'm going to do today, because I'm making a smaller one, now this is a first, so I rather than call it a tutorial, it's going to be watch me make what I make. So, I mean, I don't think that no matter how much I try is going to be thick enough for that bit. So I'll have to see what I'm going to do when I've made the circular bit. But for the circular bit, because I only want a small piece or a small circle, I'm going to make with 1mm wire twisted together. I've also got this absolutely gorgeous Sleeping Beauty turquoise, which I'm going to put on my, I know it's probably a little, it isn't very big actually, but it's probably going to look big on a tiny brooch, but I don't mind that because I absolutely adore Sleeping Beauty turquoise. So that's what I plan on putting on the top on here instead of the tanzanite. So for the moment, I'm just going to take that away, and I'm going to get some of my 1mm wire and try and straighten it out from the coil it came in, and I want to double it up so that I can. Now, how much do I want, do you think? Let's have a look. What I could do with doing is working out how big a brooch I want. And I do have this. So maybe one of the bigger ones, maybe just about right for a brooch. Let's see. Yeah, I think so. I think we'll go with the bigger one. So that is number 36. Do you know, I'm going to do probably 3 or 4 times that, because I'll want some waste either end. 2. I'm gonna do 3 times that. In fact, I'm going to do it all. Let me measure for you how much I've got here. I'm going to do it all because I will use twisted wire on lots of other things. So let's have a look. So let's get rid of that. Put my little turquoise somewhere very safe. And let's see how much wire we've got here for you. Let's get a ruler. Right. Right, looks like we're working in inches because there's only inches on this one. So it's very easy to convert. So let's have a look. So we've got, this will be approximate. So that's 15 and that's, say 10. So it's about 25 inches long. So just over 2 feet actually. So what I'm going to do is fold this in half. Not even sure if you can see what I'm doing. Is fold that in half, smooth, and then make a little, squeeze those together like that. Then what I'm going to do is the open end here, I'm going to take over to my vise. Let's see if I can just move you over to the vise. There we go. Can you see that? No. I'm trying to do it without turning the camera off when I move you, but I'm not sure that'll work, but let's see. We'll do our best. Okay. So what I'm going to do, and it's probably better if I put you over here. Yes, that's better. What I'm going to do is, I've just got a piece of dowel in here that's just on my bench. I am going to put the two loose ends in my vise. That out of the way, sorry. So I'm going to put those two loose ends in. And I'm going to fasten it as tight as I can. Like I say, there are bits that I'm going to just drop you down a little bit so that you can see what I'm doing properly. That's probably a bit better, isn't it? Sorry, it did turn off. Right, so what I've done is, as I say, forgive my big thick winter clothing. It's quite cool down here today. So I've put the two loose ends in there. I'm going to put the piece of dowel in here. Come on, that's it. I put that halfway. I'm going to pull, and I'm going to pull and twist. It'll probably come out at some point, and I'll just put it back in the vise. So pull and twist, pull and twist. And I should just keep doing that until I've got the effect I'm looking for, really. But the pulling is important. Make sure you pull as well as twist. So I'm going to have quite a nice piece here, aren't I? I'm going to have plenty of twisted wire to use on something else as well. So I'm not unhappy about that, because it always comes in useful for something. So here we go. Pull and twist, pull and twist. I wouldn't blame you if it's like watching paint dry bit, isn't it? I don't mind if you fast forward on this bit, because it's going to get a bit samey. But we're getting there. To be fair, it's looking nice. I want it a bit tighter than that though. So I'll keep pulling. I'm going to keep pulling and keep twisting. Sorry, the battery's running out on my camera as well. When I've done this bit, I'll charge it up before I come back and show you anything else. But anyway, twist, twist, twist. It's getting easier now, but it's certainly getting harder. I can feel it. So it will need annealing once I've done this before I start trying to bend it into any kind of circle. So, how much do we want it? That's quite nice, maybe a bit more. Can you see how nice that's looking? Sure. It didn't actually pull out of the vise. I must have tightened that up well. I normally don't really get through it all without it coming out of the vise. I have to start putting it all back again. But anyway, it's like a workout this with all this pulling. I don't think I'm going to go any tighter than that. Oh, hang on, it's fighting against me. Ah, there we go. Okay, let's take that out of there. And I'll see if I can show you. Isn't that nice? So that's ever so pretty. So I'm going to charge up my camera and anneal this, and then I'll come back. Oh, actually, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll tell you how much I got out of that 25 inches. Obviously, I've got the loop at the beginning, so I'll take the loop out, and I'll take the straight bits that were in the vise. So out of that 1mm wire, at a nice tight tension, I've got probably about 10.5 inches of usable twisted wire. So that's not too bad, is it? So I'll go off and do my annealing and I'll come back to you. What I've got here while the metal is pickling there, I've done the annealing, so I've put it in the pickle. I've got one of my old business cards here that I've put double-sided tape on. So what I've done is I've stuck the turquoise to it. It just makes it so much easier to measure your bezel wire around it. So I thought while I'm waiting, I will sort out my bezel wire. Whoops. What I'll do is, that's a bit, let's see, let's get some of these bail making pliers and just start a little, here, can you see, let's just start a little curve in it and see if that's any good. Yeah, that's a good start. It's very sticky now. It's so sticking to me. So we put that on there, but it does stop it. It allows you to press your bezel in without everything sliding away. And the more you use it, the more this card, it will get more tacky rather than sticky, which will be much better off. But here we go. Let's hold that down, bring this round, push that in, bring that round, still too big. Whoops. There we go, actually that's helped me. So bring that round there, push it in. Now what I'll do is I'll mark that and cut it and solder it if I can get myself free from this sticky card, and I'll get on with making the bezel for that. Right, okay, here we go. I've made the bezel. It's too tall, so I need to take it off there, sand it down or cut it down or file it down, but I need to get that the right height for the stone itself. I worked out, because I'm going to follow the largest circle on this template. That's the one I'm going for, which, you know, is a lot smaller than the original one. So what I did is I put some washi tape around there, opened it up, measured it, and it came to 4.5 inches. So I've cut off, there it is, all pickled. Isn't that beautiful? I love twisting wire. I just think the effect is amazing. So that's that. And what I've got here is a step. I don't know what you'd call it. I suppose it's a step bezel. It's not a base, it's not a bracelet mandrel, it's not a ring mandrel, it's just an in-between one that's really, really useful. That a local carpenter, well, a wood turner made it for me. So what I'm going to do is, because I asked him to make me this, because most of them are graduated, and I wanted each size to be straight, and that's what he did for me. So what I'm going to do is put that bigger hole over there and see which size I'm aiming for. So I'm aiming for the third one up, and no, third one down, fourth one up. So that's the one that fits that. So what I'm going to do now is just, because it's all been annealed, it's been pickled, so I'm just going to go around and look at that. Perfect. And of course remember that this metal, it does have spring back. So what a lot of people do is start off smaller and let it, but on this occasion it doesn't really matter, because it's going to have a gap at the bottom. It's not that it's got to be soldered or anything, and I'm really not sure whether you can see what I'm doing here. Yeah, so anyway, that's what it is. I have wrapped it round there, perfectly sized. You know, if it really mattered, that wouldn't have happened. But it has sprung back. So this is what I was saying, what most people would do, would start on a smaller one and work the way up like that. But anyway, we don't have to be that specific. I would just want a pretty little brooch that looks nice, and let's see it by its big brother, and that's the difference. But as I say, this is made in exactly the same way, but just on a bigger scale with bigger wire. So what I'm going to do now is go away and I'm going to file that bezel down. And once I've done that and I know it fits the stone, we're going to solder it onto a back plate. So there isn't actually, you know, it's a simple project. And I hope you enjoy having a go at it. But actually, I thought that might look too big on a dainty little brooch, but I don't think it is. Or well, but maybe that's me because I love it so much that I'm going to use it, and I'm not really bothered whether it looks too big because I absolutely love it. What I've got to do is work out what I'm going to do about this, because I need something with a little bit of strength in, and that 2mm has that. But if I were to put a 2mm pin on that, it's going to look completely out of proportion. So that's something I need to think about while I'm lowering that bezel so that it fits the stone. So I'll come back when I've done that. What I've done here is I've made the bezel, I filed it and sanded it down, and there's my back plate. What I've done is I have gone round with a scribe and marked the shape of that bezel. Now I'm going to leave that on the bench for a minute. So I don't know if you can see, I've there got a scratched shape of the bezel. What I want to do now is take it over to the other bench and put these you see these lines here? Let's see if I can, yeah, those lines there round there. I'm going to put those lines round there and make a bigger back plate than I need with those lines on. That's all I want. There's enough there. It's only a scrap piece of silver. It's a nice size piece of silver, but I'm going to go over and I'm going to put those lines in. So if you bear with me, I'll take you over and we'll go and do that. Okay, this is something I've shown before, so I'll just start it off, and I won't. For the people who've not seen it before, I'll show you how I started off. This simply is a cold chisel. It's not a jewellery making tool. It came from Screwfix, and it's a Stanley cold chisel, and it's a tiny one. Don't know if they give the size on there. Oh, 3/8 of an inch, I think it says on there. So that's probably what it is then. So what I do is I will go round the outside of this marked line. I don't want to go inside the line too much because I've got to solder my bezel down and I don't want too much disruption. So what I do is I start off by doing 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock. So I do those 4 sides first. Right. And then I do 1 line in the middle of those. Going out. So basically this corner always points to the middle of my oval, circle, square, whatever it is I'm doing, but that always points to the middle. So I'll do, so basically it's just like a little sun ray, and I don't know anybody else who does it like this, but this is the way I do it. And then another little one over here, because I haven't got much that side, so the whole overlap will probably be either dominated by that or that. I'm not sure, they're both quite narrow. So then what I do is I go around and fill all those in, always pointing that corner at the center. So I just do in the middle and then fill in. So that's what I'll do. So I'll carry on doing that, and I won't ask you to watch all the rest of it. I've done that. Now I know it looks rough, and they always look rough. I never ever expect them to come out like half a millimetre apart or go in. I do what I can, and I make them all as go like a sun ray, but I'm not aiming for perfection, and I'm fine with that. If you're aiming for, if you can't stand, if this really freaks you out that it's not perfectly spaced out and it's more random, then this probably isn't the way to do it for you, but it's the way I like to do it. It always works for me, and I get a lot of people asking me how I do it because they like it. So what I've got here is a pair of dividers, and what I've done is I've set them at the narrowest part between my bezel size and the edge of the silver. So what we're going to do now is run that around the edge of that bezel size, and that will be where I cut it, where I saw it. But saying that, I will solder it on first. I don't trim all the edges off, just in case there's a slight movement or it doesn't go where I want it to, or whatever. You know what these things are like. You can't predict everything. So I have now got a line that distance all the way around my bezel size, which is where I can cut it. So I'm going to go and solder the bezel on there next, and then I'll come back to you. Okay, we're back again. This is the next day now. This is how far I got last night. That's not set. In fact, I think I've just pushed it. I hope I haven't pushed it in too far. No. That's not set, but that's how it'll be. But I've been looking at it, and I'm not sure that isn't, I don't know. I can't make my mind up whether that's too much of a thing or not. If I decide it is, I keep walking away and coming back looking at it. If I think it is too much, I'll just, I'm going to use the stone, come what may, but I shall just maybe take a little bit off the silver around the outside. But I've done that. And then what I thought, because I was looking at it last night, and I got, let me just get these pliers that are under the camera. I got my bail making pliers, and I thought, do you know, that might be nice just with a little kink in it there. And when I looked at it like that, I thought, yeah, I like that. And then I'd got these little ambers, and they're only tiny, and this is a very, very delicate piece, I do have to say. So I've got these two ambers, and I thought, you know, I could actually put, instead of putting stops on like this, I could put little ambers that they look a bit like little leaves, don't they? Put them sort of like that. I don't know if you can see that. Let me try and come down a bit for you. Take this lead out, charging the camera up at the same time. Let me show you. So that's what I've got at the minute. And then my idea, and this is bent, so then my idea is that would go on there like that. These would go sort of like this. Nothing's set in stone yet, but sort of. And then that would go on the end of that, and that's what it would end up on. I actually think turquoise and amber go well. So I did make two little bezels for those, so that I could try it. But I decided that I've decided I probably will go with the 1mm because it's such a dainty piece. There's no way a chunkster like that is going to look right on there. So what I'm going to do is maybe hammer it a little bit and harden it, and make the end pointy, flatten that out, like this. Excuse me. Flatten the end of the wire out, so exactly like that, so that it will solder onto the back of the bezel. And then I need to put on my little loop there that makes it slide round the ring. So a little bit of a way to go yet, but that's my thinking at the moment. So what am I going to do next? I think probably put these into their bezels so that I can then try them and see if I think they look right, because obviously the bezels are quite a bit bigger than the stones, but I still think they're pretty, so I might actually go with that, because I do actually quite like it. And yeah, if it doesn't work, not a great loss. It can always be altered or redesigned, but I think I might try going with that. So I'm going to go and for the moment I'll go and hammer this piece, straighten it out, hammer it, point it, and make sure these bezels are the right height for the stones, and take it from there. So I'll be back when I've done these few little jobs.